Hello everyone, this is Lisa Mendoza, and today I got the wonderful Hygge kit, Hygge Life. so before I got too nervous about the mystery item, um, I thought I would just jump right in. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down, I'm just going to do this thing. So painting and drawing is really not my thing, but I wanted to give it a shot. I was curious. So you'll see here, I'm taping down this 5x7 board with artist tape. My husband is an artist, so he uses it. So I kind of learn little things, very little things from him because like I said, I'm just not an artist. Anyway, so I taped it down because I knew I was going to be using some water and I didn't want my card to warp too much. So that's why I did that. And then I'm also just testing out some Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. I've had this collection for a couple of months now and I've been dying to use it. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity. So I'm just going to walk you through and just explain things that I learned and things that I loved because it definitely was a learning process for me. So here I'm using the Clean Color Real Brush in, let's see, it's number 028 in pale pink. And I'm just going through and I'm brushing on a little bit of the ink with the brush pen, and then I'm taking a watercolor brush that has some water inside the barrel, and I'm just kind of smoothing it out, smoothing out the ink with the water. Never done this before, so this is quite the experiment, but I think the end result surprised me. I was surprised that it came out as nice as it did because I was really expecting it to be a disaster because I've just never done it before. And I didn't really think too much about what I was doing. I just thought, you know what, if I think too much, I'm going to just really be too much of a perfectionist about it. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go for what my impulse says. And so anyway, so you see here, I'm just kind of filling in the negative space. This particular design is all greenery. So at first I couldn't really tell like where the greenery was. You can see the outlines a little bit, but it was kind of hard for me to see. So I thought, okay, if I go ahead and I block out the negative space, then maybe I'll be able to see the greenery better. So as you can see, again, putting down more ink, adding some water, and it just kind of spreads it out a little bit better. I'm sure those with watercolor experience, your blending will be much better than mine. But again, we're experimenting, right? Just stepping out of the box, just going for it, and just seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. All right, so I'm sure a lot of you, when you heard about the mystery item being these, I call them emboss resist cards, but it's that outline really isn't embossed like in the general stamping technique of embossing. It's just kind of an outline, but it does resist inks, certain inks. So it definitely resists the Clean Color by Zig, and it also resists Distress Oxides. And then here, again, I'm experimenting. So I thought, okay, what about if I put the water down first and then go in with the ink? And what I noticed happened when I did this is my marker, it got watered down and like the ink disappeared from the tip. So I don't recommend that. If you are going to use the Zig markers, then I would recommend that you put down the color first and then go with the watercolor brush if you want to go ahead and use the same technique. So that is one thing that I learned, is not to do the water first and then the color, because it just kind of took all the color right out of my marker. Luckily, the color kind of comes down fairly quickly, so I just put it down for a second, and then when I was ready to use it again, it was ready to use. So that's good. And then I was contemplating doing the inner circle, the background of, for the inner circle as well. But now in hindsight, I'm really glad that I didn't, because I ended up putting a stamped sentiment in the center, and it just looks really nice because the center is nice and bright. So I'm glad I did that. And then you'll see some areas on the upper left. It has kind of like a water stained type thing. I did try to go in with more water and try to kind of clean those up. You'll see me going back and kind of cleaning up those areas in an effort to try and smooth them out too much. And it's a fine line, because I remember Sammy from Planners Anonymous saying that you don't want to put too much water on this paper. It's not watercolor paper. I was able to use water, but I wanted to be sure not to use too much water. And then again, that's what the artist tape around the card, it really helps from it curling and warping while you're using it with water. So just kind of cleaning up some areas, actually finishing up some areas, and then I'll go in and clean up some areas. And then during this time, I was thinking, okay, I'm probably going to need to go in with some greens, right, for the greenery. And I was just like, what am I going to use? I was just really, really, really nervous. Here you see me kind of going fast. The video is sped up, but it did take me, I think, an hour and 15 minutes between, the decisions I had to make and things like that. So here I'm just kind of contemplating, what do I do? Do I do the green? So just kind of nervous about it. Oh, I did pull another light pink Zig marker that I thought I was going to put in the center. And again, like I said, I'm really glad I didn't, because I was going to have kind of a contrasting center to the other negative space, but I didn't end up doing that. Then there, I'm just kind of seeing how the green spreads when I add water. So here we go, laying down a darker color, very scary. I thought that maybe the lines that I was trying to create, like vines in greenery, I thought it was going to stay a little bit, but it didn't. As soon as I applied the water, it just kind of pulled, which is fine. So just adding a little bit of color with the marker and then going in with water. And I noticed a lot of places resisted that I didn't think were going to resist. Like you see there, wherever the water is kind of bubbling up and pulling, it's resisting there. And then I also had a little too much water on the paper, got a little nervous, so I wiped it with a paper towel. And it's kind of hard to see like what part is leaf and what part is negative space or background. And what I learned from that is this doesn't have to be perfect, watercolor is very loose, in my opinion, and it's not very perfect. And so that's why I was willing to give this a shot, because I was like, okay, if it doesn't have to be perfect, then I might be able to pull it off. So just finishing up that green, getting green in areas where it shouldn't be, but that's okay, right? So far, so good. And then as I was going through this part, I was like, wow, it looks really bad, but I'm going to keep going. And I really wanted to trust the process, because that's something I've learned while watching crafting videos on YouTube, is like people just go for it. And then in the end, it ends up being this wonderful piece of work. And I'm like, okay, I think it just requires a little bit of patience, a little bit of belief in yourself, that it's okay, just keep going, don't ditch it yet, don't crumble it up and put it in the waste bin yet. So that's what I was doing. I was like, you know what, I'm going to finish this thing. I am going to finish this thing. All right, so then, and again, just a little more blotting with the paper towel, because a little bit too much water was pooling. So keep that handy too if you decide to do it like this. And then I decided, you know what, that took a lot of time. I wonder what it would be like if I used Distress Oxides. I love Distress Oxides. There, I'm trying to fix up the area where I got green in there. So just more water, more water, more water, and it'll kind of dilute it a little bit. And then again, when it's all said and done, those little blemishes, I don't think it really matters. But Anyway, so I'm thinking about Distress Oxides. I'm thinking about how will they look. I hadn't done any tests or anything like that, so I thought, let me try it. So what I ended up doing is getting Mowed Lawn, the Distress Oxide by Tim Holtz. I got a clear acrylic block, and the one that I use that I love so much is by Gina K Designs. I love her stamping blocks. I used to have a big collection of just, generic stamping blocks until I got a hold of Gina K's, and they just feel so good in your hands. They don't like fall out of your hands, and they're really easy to handle. They feel so good, I want to like bite them, kind of like an ice cream sandwich. So I'm just taking my Mowed Lawn ink, and I'm taking the ink pad and just pressing it down on the acrylic block so I can have a pool of ink. Then I'm taking the watercolor brush that has water in it. I'm just dipping it in the ink and then applying it to the card. So this I found was much easier. You'll see I'll finish this wreath pretty quick. It is sped up, but in real life I ended up finishing it really quick, and I loved the way that came out. So I wish I could go back in time, or I wish I had another card like this so I could take what I learned and redo it, but I don't. So that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and share with you what I learned and what I wouldn't do again if I had the opportunity. So this really turned out really good. And I noticed there was a lot of water, but then I thought I can bring out my embossing heat tool and I can dry it. So just doing a little finishing piece, but you see it happens so fast. I was able to cover that pretty quickly, and then I just clean off my acrylic block with Gina K's, what is it called? I have it right here. It's that chamois to kind of clean, what does she call it? Tidy towel. And then as you see, when I dry that distress ink, oh my goodness, it looks really beautiful. I was really surprised and pleased, as you can see with my thumbs up. So that was Mowed Lawn that I did on the inside wreath. And then because I loved it so much, I thought, you know what? I am going to go over the outside greenery because I wanted it to be a little bit more contrasting color. So I used peeled paint. Again, just put some ink directly on the block from the ink pad and then just brushed it on with a watercolor brush that has water inside the barrel. And this was just so much quicker. So I think when I do another one, and I'm definitely planning to, now that I finished this and I know what it looks like and I know what I learned just in this one experiment, I'm really excited to do another one because it was really fun once I got my groove and once I figured out what medium I wanted to use. So for me, definitely Distress Oxides. I have some Distress inks, but I really like Distress Oxides, so that's what I kind of gravitate towards a lot. And then you see the water pooling, but it's not bad. And so I just take my heat embossing tool and dry the paper, and I was like, ooh, I like this. I actually like it. So as imperfect as it is, if you take a nice close look, I'm still really happy with it. I'm still really happy with it. I thought it looked really nice and really pretty, and I was pretty proud of myself for stepping out of the box and trying this. I'm glad I did, because a lot of times I try these things and they just fail and you'll never see them. But this one I thought I would put out there just to encourage anyone, especially if you don't have experience doing anything like this. I encourage you to try, because it was a great experience for me to step out of the box and to do this, and I like the outcome. So then I'm taking my Simon Says Stamp Thankful Heart Sentiment stamp set. Again, I didn't think too much about it. I just thought, I'm going to try this. I've never used Distress inks to stamp, so I did it on a sample piece of cardstock first, and then I went directly to my card, which is always dangerous. But I love the way it came out. It really came out nice, and I don't know if it's the paper or what the deal is, but I've heard you can't really stamp with Distress Oxides, but I think it came out pretty nice. I was really happy with it. And that stamp set is just beautiful because the hand lettering is perfect for this type of kind of whimsical, really pretty, soft watercolor. So then I'm taking my Starry Colors, their watercolor they're watercolors, and I'm adding watercolor to the gold there, which is a yellow gold. At first, I tried it with a toothbrush, as you can see here, and I tried it on a sample paper, and I didn't like the way the toothbrush sprayed. So I went ahead and grabbed my Tim Holtz. The brush is called, I don't know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but it's for spraying paint. It's for like doing speckles of paint. And the reason why, there's the brush right there on the left, but the reason why I went through and did this is because I was still feeling like the card was pretty imperfect, and so I wanted to kind of camouflage those imperfections. And I thought, okay, if I put a little bit of gold, I think it will do it. I think I overdid it. If I were to do it again, I wouldn't do it as much, or maybe I would mask the inside of the wreath where the sentiment is and just put the gold speckles in the other areas, not in the very center. So then I went in with a little bit of a white gold, just to spruce it up a little bit more. And I was done after I got paint everywhere. So underneath my card, I'm using a waffle flower media mat. Love this thing because it's heat resistant. It cleans up really, really, really well. It's kind of like a silicone feeling, like a rubbery feeling. But I end up cleaning up all this paint everywhere. It's really easy to clean. They're watercolors, so they clean really nice. Alrighty. So then we're removing the tape. And you know what else I like about the tape is it left a really nice white border that I thought I was going to cut off. You can see it there on the left. I thought I was going to cut it off, but once I peeled up the paint, I thought, wow, that looks really pretty as well. So I decided to keep it just like that. Just cleaning up with my tidy towel just makes things really easy. And there we go. There's my finished card. I hope you guys like it.